Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
We're so happy to welcome you this morning and pleased with what we're going to introduce you to. Many of you have heard about Family Promise of Midland. And whether you live in Midland or somewhere in the Permian Basin, listen up, because this is applicable to your community. This is something that every community should have, and Midland is so fortunate to have such a full-blown program. Tom Miller is the Executive Director of Family Promise of Midland. And by the end of this program, you're going to know everything you need to know about this wonderful organization and how it helps families to be strong and cohesive. And so before we start talking about Family Promise, Tom, I want you to talk about how you got to that job and how you got to West Texas and everything.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Johnny Lou. I appreciate being here. I actually was born and reared in Illinois. However, I did get down here to Texas as quick as I could. I've been down here in Midland actually for the past 30 years.
Oh, good.
I worked for the Midland Independent School District for 27 of those 30 years. Of those 27 years, I was an elementary principal at Ben Milam Elementary, the best school in Midland ISD. And then I was about to retire, and I was actually sitting at the breakfast table one morning, and I looked, and I saw this ad in the newspaper for a director of Family Promise. I knew absolutely nothing what Family Promise was about. So I went online, did a little research, saw what it was about. It's about helping people who are in need. And I thought, you know, I just might go ahead and apply for that.
And with your background, a perfect fit.
You know, it's a godsend. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
God sent me to that ad that morning. And I applied, and by golly, I got the job.
Well, were you the first director?
I was the first director of Midland, Family Promise of Midland, and there's actually a Family Promise of Odessa, Texas, and a Family Promise of Lubbock. Odessa's been in operation about 5-6 years now, probably, and Lubbock probably 16-17 years. Family Promise of Midland opened its doors first family on February 14th, 2011, on Valentine's Day. We did that on purpose to signify the love we were trying to show those families in need.
And so that's, you've been in operation for 3 years.
3 years, and they have been a blessed 3 years. The Permian Basin has really embraced Family Promise's philosophy of helping people help themselves, and so we have grown dramatically in 3 years.
And so tell me a little bit about the mission and purpose and scope of it.
Sure. First and foremost, Family Promise is not a handout, it's a hand up. In order to qualify for our program, the family has to be homeless. Now, we don't like to use homeless families. We'd much rather put the circumstance, the people before the circumstance. So those families who are experiencing homelessness. And in Midland, Texas, we define homelessness as not being able to find a place, not being able to afford a place. You're living with friends, relatives, hotel, motel, a car, in the street, and in a shelter. And you have to have at least one child under the age of 17, hence the word, the name, Family Promise, absolutely.
And so, the hardest thing about that, from my standpoint, would be finding those families.
Oh, we don't have a hard time finding those families at all. Everyone knows.
Through the schools and churches?
Schools, churches, word of mouth, other nonprofit organizations sends families our way. You know, right now we are in a housing crunch in the Permian Basin. Everybody knows that.
Yes.
And to find affordable housing, you just about can't do that. And so there are a lot of families in the Permian Basin, surrounding areas, that cannot find a place to live. So they call us.
And they are they stuffed within family or friends into a house that's only built for one family, and there's 2 families living in it.
Oh, 2, 4, 5 families. It's not unusual to.
So how do you help?
Well, the way it works is the families call us, and we tell them a little bit about our program. They tell us a little bit about their situation. And the intake process to get into the program, because you have to apply. Again, it's not for everyone. And we will only want those families who are truly committed in helping themselves. So they call us, they set up an appointment. The first initial interview takes about 45 minutes. We tell them more about the program. They tell us more about their situation. Then there's a 2-day waiting period. Now, why 2 days? Well, we do background checks on all of our families. Nothing will exclude a family from getting into Family Promise immediately on a background check, except for sex offense. Unfortunately, we're not able to take those who have offended in that area because of the family nature of the program. We can't take that risk.
Right.
Plus, the 2 days also allows time for the families to think about, is this program right for them and their family? Because it's not. As you'll learn a little bit later, these families have to follow rules, they have to work with a case manager, they're sleeping at churches at night, and so it isn't for everyone. But if it is, they call us back in 2 days. We set up a final interview, at which time we meet the entire family because we like to see the dynamics of the spouse or the children in the family. And that takes about 30 minutes. We go into a little more detail about their finances and their goals as a family. And then, if it looks like it's a good match between Family Promise and the family and Family Promise, we get them into the program unless we're full. And right now we are full, and we do have a waiting list. But we're working on different ways to fix that. So,
And so your primary goal is housing, but you also might help with jobs?
right, the immediate goal is to get the families in off the street or out of an undesirable situation. A lot of the families, when you have multifamilies in a single family unit, a lot of times tempers flare a little bit, and the overcrowding just creates chaos.
And the friction that's caused between families and among families.
Right, and it's not good for anyone. So we're there to take the families by the hand and say, we've got a solution for you. Come with us, let's help. So yes, what we do, not only do we provide that immediate crisis intervention, but we also allow our families to really look hard at their life and see where they want to go. We have a full-time case manager that works with our families on weekly goals. All of our families are required to work on weekly goals.
So that means like financial management, parenting skills, communication skills.
Absolutely. Anything that they need. And speaking of finances, while they're in the program, our families are required to work full-time, go to school full-time, or a combination thereof. We believe that education is the key to success. So if the families come to us and they don't have their GED yet, our case manager is a certified GED instructor. We have computers at our day center so the families can actually work on getting their GED. And then once they get a job, and they do have to get a job, they are required to save 80% of their earned income in their own bank account. We don't touch their money. The family takes care of that. And what we do then is we have the families upload a bank account statement every week so that we can make sure they're saving that 80%. Now, for some families, they come to us with a large amount of debt because they're struggling. And so what we do is we help them get that debt paid down with their money. So rather than saving 80% one paycheck, it may only be 30%.
But they're saving 80%, but then they're using it.
They're using it in a good way.
Absolutely. And you know, that is as great a gift as you can give them, is to teach them financial management.
Absolutely.
Because that's what gets so many people into trouble to begin with. We're going to have to take a break right now. We'll be back in just a minute and talk some more about this wonderful program. See you in just a minute.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.